Hi, Bobo. Blessings to you all. This morning, well, depends where you are in the world. Might be evening when you watch this video. But today, I'm going to briefly discuss a very interesting topic um, having to do with secret societies, voodoo, and explaining a little bit more on zombification. I know a lot of you folks like this kind of sensational stuff, but it's not really to entertain you, but rather to give you more information on how all of these secret societies function, their original intended purposes, and the distinctions between voodoo and those secret societies. So I always say I'm going to try to keep the video short. I really am going to try to, but it's a broad topic and I will not cover everything. I will not answer all of your questions. I even have questions for myself because I'm always researching and trying to find out more about this stuff, as everyone should. So a little bit about me. So to provide you a bit more context on where I'm coming from and how I came to be in my path. I was born in North America to Haitian parents. My parents fled Haiti during the first regime of Duvalier because their life was in danger essentially, especially because of my father's political points of view. And my family has a long history in Haitian history in politics. In fact, well, I'm not going to give you all the details of my name and my roots, but um, one of my ancestors, his name is actually on the Act of Independence and played a key role in Haiti's history. So that is my lineage, which I'm very proud of in terms of my ancestry. Um, Now, I lived in Haiti also. I lived there mostly as a teenager, and I've traveled. I travel there every year. I have family there. This is where I became familiar with the family practice and how spirits on the maternal side were are served. It was a shock to my system, to be honest. What you read in book and what you practice and the way things are done here, certainly not the same as what I anticipated when I really got involved in Haiti. It was my calling. I didn't ask for this. It is sometimes a burden, but um, and that's my path, and these are my responsibilities, which is why I'm doing what I'm doing. So, secret societies, what are they? You probably heard of a couple in Haiti, notably Bizango and Sampuel. And these societies historically are rooted in the militant factions of slaves that escaped the Maroon or Maroons. And their tactics were very aggressive, of course, because they essentially led guerrilla warfare. So these societies were born out of necessity in the country and have remained and endured over the past decades and centuries, um, and are still true to their form. They're very militant. Their approach is more aggressive. And Are they inherently evil? I believe there are evil people, but it doesn't mean that you do evil things. Uh, and their magical practices differ to a certain degree. However, and I'm going to try not to confuse you, but a lot of the spirits that are served in the Vaudou Règlement are also served there. And there are spirits that are only unique to these societies as well. They have patron spirits. Danto is also known as a Queen of Sampuel, and yet she is served on the Vaudou side um, as well. These societies met out justice and usually I'm using the term loosely, executioners of justice. So, if, for example, somebody has been deemed a threat to a society or has caused some sort of wrong that is either irreparable or severe and threatens to disrupt the functioning of a community or creates discord, they have secret councils in which high priests, including voodoo priests, may gather and render a judgment on somebody. And the judgment can be to turn that person into zombie or subject them to zombification, which is a spiritual ostracization of the individual from a community. Now, I'm not an anthropologist, historical expert. I'm not going to tag myself as such, but I do lecture on Haitian history and the social political structures in the country, sometimes here locally at one of my alma maters. Um, but I do know a few things, but I'm not going to tag myself as an expert. Uh, with regards to zombification, which is a hot topic, I know. Um, now I want to make something very clear. For me, zombie is not just the a person or individual that rises from the grave. Zombies are also spirits um, of dead individuals that are essentially enslaved or used to perform certain purposes or work. They help some practitioners with work, making the work move faster because they tend to work even faster than some of the voodoo spirits or any other type of spirits. And they also use to cause harm. Again, the notion of good and evil in our beliefs are not always black and white, they're shades of gray, and it's really left up to the individual to decide how they use the gifts that they have or the spirits that they serve or the spirits that they have serving them in terms of the practitioner or the priest. You also have bokos, and bokos are people that serve with left hands. They have less restrictions in terms of the kinds of work that they do. You pay them whatever you ask for, they'll do for you. So I just wanted to throw that in there. But in terms of zombification, essentially, uh, this is work that is done both on a physical and spiritual plane. Physical, the use of powders and mixtures to induce a deep coma um, from the victim, and this victim essentially the life signs in terms of the heartbeat and respiration slow down so much that it's not detectable anymore medically or clinically, and the person is deemed dead. Now, the bokor or whoever did this to the intended targeted victim will go then to the cemetery at night and uh, uh, give an antidote and basically raise the person from the grave. Now, because the person has been underground for so long and is aware of everything that's going on and feels everything, the lack of oxygen often causes brain damage. Um, so you really don't come out of this entirely normal if you do. The neurotoxin that is used comes from the pufferfish. Even in Japan, the pufferfish is a delicacy, and if it's not prepared properly, sometimes the person that ingests the toxin will go into under a similar coma or the same coma, and sometimes they're buried alive because they're believed to be dead. Um, Now, in terms of the spiritual aspect, how does one control a zombie? Well, in Vodou, we believe that depending from where you're from in Haiti, that there are two parts to the soul: the gros bons anges and the petits bons anges. So one of these, I'm not going to go into details in terms of what is used for what, but essentially, one of these spiritual energy forces within you is captured or imprisoned by the bokor, or the practitioner, and you're put in a jar. And this is how they control the physical body of the zombie. Essentially, your will is captured and put away. And so that's how that works. Now, as I said, zombies are also spirits of dead people. So those that are adept can go to a cemetery and obtain the spirit, or somehow sometimes negotiate with the spirit of a person that has passed on but not passed beyond, and have them serve as well, uh, for their purposes. Um, the other thing that folks need to understand about Vodou, Bizango, Sampuel, and all of that is that Haiti, these are beliefs and paths that are African in origin. And in Africa, as in Haiti, you didn't have a Western style of social justice system. You didn't have courts. You certainly didn't have access to doctors, or any other specialists. So your recourse was going to the village priest, or boko, or whatever you want to call, whatever the title may be, to find a solution to their problem. So if you have a problem with a family, somebody has caused you harm, or if your infant is sick, you would go see a gifted herbalist, to help you out with your situation. Things have not changed that much in Haiti. We have a system that is, in terms of the justice system, that is, they're heavily based on Napoleonic rules, and codes and whatnot. And in a country that is essentially poor, um, for historical reasons that I'm not going to go into today, but people just don't have access to resources. And they often then go to the Boko, the secret societies, if they know them, or the Vodou priests, to find a solution to their problems. And now most of these folks are, they know their herbs, and herbs have medicinal properties, curative properties, and so on and so forth. So, I find it a bit condescending when a lot of folks laugh at this stuff, because a lot of the medicine that you take these today are, the chemical compositions are from these herbs, either synthetic or natural. So we've had this science and this knowledge way longer before it was mass produced through capitalism and so on and so forth. So that's one of the reasons why people go to these folks a lot in Haiti and rely on them, because you just don't have access to resources. It's I don't want to say it's in Haitian DNA, but historically, socially, and all of this stuff, this is how people solve their problems. Now, another thing I want to say about secret societies is that a lot of folks that are into these secret societies also serve in Vodou. You can be on more than one path. And in fact, you may be sans poil, but you still have to respect the règlement of Vodou if it is in your family, and you still have to respect the way the spirits are served in your family, in your laku. So you will find a lot of these folks being part of secret societies and also serve um, in Vodou. The only thing is that they don't mix. You don't mix rituals. If you're doing a Sampoil ceremony, that's what that is. When you do your family ceremony, you do that separately. You do not mix and match. And in terms of how to get into these secret societies, well, it's really who you know. You just don't go out there and looking for one. In fact, it's very, very dangerous. It can be dangerous if you do that. Um, everything has a time in Haiti. There's a time that you should not be in the streets. This is when some of these societies are out, and God forbid you encounter them, and you do not know the code, the language, and whatnot, and they test you, and you fail. You could be in real physical danger. Like as I mentioned, these are kind of militant factions. They patrol. They do a bunch of things that some people might question in terms of ethics, but nonetheless, that is their historical roots. That is what is in the fabric of the DNA of these secret societies, you don't approach them. Usually, someone will invite you, or someone who knows that you have an interest will tell you, hey, why don't you come and see what this is about? You don't actively go looking for them, just so that you're aware of that. And in fact, in Vodou, it's almost similar. Uh, Vodou is a calling. You just don't do it because you think that you're going to gain some sort of power. There are usually signs, or your ancestors might find ways to communicate with you, or the lois themselves, um, uh, indicating or pointing you in the right direction. It's like, hey, this is your path. Find out more and serve us. Or sometimes you may be the one that has been selected in your family to carry the load, which is what happened um, in my case. I've always had a penchant for spiritual things, but really later in life, they made it clear that you're the one that's going to lead the family and carry the load for the rest of the family. So that's my bit on secret societies and zombification. It's unfortunate the way that things have been, painted in the media, in movies, from James Bond to American Horror Story. I'm just appalled at the way that they've depicted Papa Legba as some sort of demonic, hellbound spirit, because that's not what Legba is. And quite frankly, the way that they showed that spirit is more akin to Kafu, more so than Legba. But bottom line is, these things continue to fuel misperceptions about Vodou, and seems to tie Vodou uniquely to zombification. And I have a problem with that. And I think all Vodouis have a problem with that when their faith is stereotyped and people just don't understand. Now, there's one thing that I'm going to mention that's a bit controversial. Some of these secret societies, I don't know them all by name, but they do have ritual human sacrifices. Yes, some of them do. So, which is the reason why you certainly don't want to cross them, or not be out in the streets when you're not supposed to, or go actively seeking them when it's not your calling and you have no business doing so. And again, there are a number of spirits that they serve. Some of them are not Vodou spirits, and some of them are spread across the span in terms of the kinds of spirits that are served in these secret societies, and in a Petro ceremony, for example, or a God ceremony in Haiti. The other thing is, some of these societies have heavy influences. They could be Congo influence, for example, more so than Dahomey. The slaves in Haiti came from different parts of Africa. In the north, you have a much stronger Congo influence, which is why the ceremonies, they do serve the same spirits, but the ceremonies are somewhat different in the north. And then you have the Règlement of Vodou, which is a combination of Dahomey and Congo. And so with the Yasson and all of that stuff. So the drum beats, the instruments, and the way the spirits are served will vary depending on where you are. For example, Papa Ogu is known to be served on Wednesdays. That's what you read a lot of in books. And yet in my family and in parts of the north of La Tibonite region, Papa Ogu's day is Friday. So you have these variations, and the order in which the spirits are called will also vary. So that is my bit on secret societies. I touched on zombification a little because I know some people want to know more about this. I wish I could do a longer video. I just can't right now. Just spent 20 minutes doing this one. But I hope that you found this informative and that you have maybe enough to go do a little bit of research on your own. If you have any questions, you can always email me at Bosu's Lair. I'm not a fountain of knowledge. I know stuff, but I do not know anything. And I say this because anybody who's learning will always tell you they know very little or know nothing at all. What we know is just is just a speck of sand compared to the amount of knowledge and mysteries that are out there. So with that, I wish you blessings, a happy and productive life. Keep your head up and be proud of what you believe in. Blessings.